So this tree had a big oak tree that was wrapped around it, and it had two branches that hugged the tree on both sides. One giant branch on one side and one growing on the other side. And you can see the marks where the tree grew around it. This oak forked, and then it had one massive leader going to the left and one going to the right. And if I'd have fallen the tree straight out of where the fork opening was, it would have gone way over there towards those power lines and possibly hit another tree that might have been able to. There wasn't a clean shot going that way without making a huge mess and smashing other trees. Anyways, to make a long story short, we're following this tree the opposite way. We're gonna fall it this way. And that way it'll end up on the property owner's own property. And he's got a Lucas mill and he wants to mill the wood, so I'm gonna try to lay it down right in there. I measured it with my laser rangefinder at 144 feet tall. And so first thing I gotta do is cut this massive base out of the way. Get that out of the way because I'm gonna make my face cut right here. And I want the tree to go that way. So the higher I put my rope, the more mechanical advantage it gives me for pulling the tree over. Quarterly in that direction. But it's going to take a lot of mechanical energy to get it to go the other direction in there. This was my second shot, and I used all the string, all 180 feet of it. And I was way up there. Of this string. Bowling to the top. Down through. That's how I recovered it. Now that it's recovered, lock this thing out. People are probably wondering what I'm doing with that yellow throw line string in the eye of, I have it doubled over in the eye of the running bowline. I'm trying to guide, to manage that loop. It's kind of like you're lassoing the rope with the running bowline. But I don't want it to cinch down in the wrong place because I could catch a limb. There's a lot of limbs. So by hanging on to it, I can guide, I can keep it from, because see what happens is the weight of the rope will actually pull the thing taut. And it could do it prematurely and hang it snag up on a limb. It kind of works. You just do the best you can. It's tricky trying not to snag a limb. I tried to walk the dog, I call it, getting it to go around. But it's tricky for sure, setting a line just right and getting it all perfect. Doesn't always get perfect every time. I tried pulling that thing off by hand, but all of a sudden the property owner shows up in a four-wheel drive utility vehicle and says, hey, yeah, let's just try to pull this thing off. I was going to use my truck if I had to, but he showed up with that little thing and it worked out perfect. Well, now that I got all the preliminary stuff out of the way, I can get to business with making a face cut. Shaving the sides like that isn't just so that I can get better visibility on where the undercut and the top cut come together, but it's also trying to reduce the diameter of this tree because I've only got a 36-inch bar, and it worked out just right, just the right length bar. Here I am sighting down my gun sights for the bottom part of the face cut. That's going to determine the direction the hinge is going to fall the tree. Need to clean up the face cut a little bit. I like it nice and cleaned up. And right here I'm tying a figure-8 follow through, and I'm putting sticks in the eyes of the follow through because it'll get so tight you can't hardly get the thing apart. And just make sure you got long enough tail. I got at least 4 inches of tail on each one of those. I've never had one of those even come close to pulling apart if you tie it right. And here I'm going to tie a clove hitch on the cross member there, and followed by 3 half hitches on top of it, so it's backed up pretty good. So the deal with using a rope, at least my style, is you're using the rope to assist pulling the tree over. You don't think of it as like you're going to pull the tree over with the rope. You're going to use the rope to assist the tree to fall. You have to have a face cut with a proper hinge, with good hinge wood facing the right direction, and you want to use wedges in the back of the tree to drive it over, and the rope is just assisting it. So what I usually have people do with either a tractor or 4-wheel drive or some kind of rig, or if I'm using my rope come along, is I put about what it feels like about 400 or 500 pounds of pressure on the rope, more or less depending on the size of the tree and the angles and things like that. But you don't want to put too much tension because you could prematurely initiate a barber chair. So there's a lot of factors that go into falling a tree. A lot of it depends on the type of wood. Like this Douglas fir wood has got really good hinge qualities. The wood fibers, even though this tree's been dead for a year, it's still going to have good hinging qualities to it. It leans a side lean a few degrees off, like 5 degrees off. So the thing is, there's a lot of factors involved. You can't just pull a tree over and expect it to go where you want. The hinge might pop out. But this tree, the hinge is going to hold. I'm not using the rope to force the tree over. I'm using the rope just to help it pull over. So I'm not going to have the guy back up and start pulling on the rope with the tractor until this tree, I see it starting to go, and I can feel the wedges in the back when I pound them in. They're getting easier and easier to pound in. That means the tree's starting to go. Then I have him go ahead. You want to leave a thick enough hinge wood so that hinge holds good. I was taking down a Doug fir one time that was about this size, that was a lightning strike, and the wood that I thought was going to be my good hinge wood was rotten from the lightning strike. The electricity went down the tree the side. I don't fall that many lightning strikes, so the hinge wood didn't hold and the tree went sideways. So yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong even if you try to do everything right. That's why you try to do everything right, because even when you do try to do everything right, you can have a catastrophic failure. For me, this tree, I want to leave at least 2 inches of solid hinge wood and a little more, like 3 inches on the uphill side of the lean. I could tell how the wedges were getting easier to pound in, that the tree was starting to go a little bit. Time to do a final gun sighting of my direction my hinge is going. I could tell the way that red head just drove right in real easy that this thing was getting ready to go.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Woo! Perfect. That went exactly where I wanted it. Nice.